Greetings, friends and fellow cigar box guitar enthusiasts. Del Puckett here, and you're all kind of blurry today. Oh, there you are. I can see you. I can see you now. In this lesson here, I'm going to show you all sorts of chords. Chords and chords and chords and chords and chords. And you're going to get bored with all the chords I'm going to show you in this lesson here, so stick around. So first things first, we need to tune up. I'm tuned E, B, E. And these are the skinny strings. We are not plugged in. This is just acoustic. Just acoustic. So right off the bat, we're going to do what I call the one chord. So you can put your index finger here, or any finger you want, on the high string on the 4th fret. Now you can see that dot right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's the 4th fret. We're going to call it the one chord. Now if I take this my middle finger and put it here on the 5th fret, this is also the one chord. If I put my pinky up here at the 7th fret, this is also the one chord. Okay, so all the open strings, you guessed it, are also the one chord. Now, this chord I just showed you here, you can flip it upside down if you like. Since the top string and the bottom string are tuned the same, I can take this finger here and move it here, and take this finger here and move it here. So it's basically just an inverted, I call it an upside down chord. Here's the upside down one chord. Now all of these chords are movable. You can take these chords and move them up and down. This is the way it sounds. Of course, when you move them, they're no longer called the one chord. It's only the one chord when it's here, but that shape, you can move these shapes anywhere you like. But that's the one chord here. Now, whatever chord you do here at the nut or the open strings at the 0 fret, that chord is going to be the same chord 12 frets above up here. So if I put my finger flat or did just one of the notes and left the other ones open, that would also be, you guessed it, the one chord. For example, that's the one chord. This is also the one chord. Oh, I forgot to mention, just like you can do this one here on the 4th fret, you could also do it in the bass. This is an awesome sounding one chord. It's got the 3rd in the root. Okay, there's many more one chords. Here's another one way up here. No, I take it back. Yeah, that's another one chord here. Here's the root, and here's the 5th and the 5th. So I got my index finger on the 5th fret. My ring finger and my pinky are both on the 7th fret on the high and low strings here. So that's another one chord. So that's similar to this chord. This one's got the 3rd here. I've just simply put this finger here and this finger here. So it's the same, basically it's the same chord. There's no 3rd in it, it's just a 1 and 2 5s. So all of those are just the one chord. Like I said, there's many more, but that's a lot of one chords, right? Next, let's discuss the 4 chord. The 4 chord, if you're gonna do a one finger bar, it's going to occur right here at the 5th fret. So this is the 5th fret. The 5th fret, but it's called the 4 chord. Now there's all sorts of things that you can do up here. You can gang up and do like multiple fingers and leave strings open. This is one of my favorite, is to let that high string drone, That high string, there's nothing touching the high string. And then I've got my middle finger and my ring finger on the 5th fret. That's a 4 chord. What that does is that gives me this finger over here to do fingers back here, and it leaves my pinky up here to do stuff up here, whatever I like to do. And again, you can hammer these guys. So this one here is the 4 chord. Now watch what, you can make it a 7th by putting your index finger here on the 3rd fret. This is a 7th chord. So it's a 4 chord, but it's a 7th chord. Does that make sense? And some people call it the dominant 7th chord. I just call it a 7th chord, whatever. This one here would be a major 7th chord. Okay, so I have my index finger now at the 4th fret, and this is the way it sounds. Gosh, I love that chord. Major 7, dominant 7, or just 7th. And then of course you could do your pinky here. That's just the same as doing a 1-finger bar, but you're using every one of your fingers to cover the strings. And I like to do this because you can always pull them off and get some cool sounds like this. A double pull off. So that's a 4 chord. Here's another 4 chord. Pinky here on the 5th fret, top string. My index finger is going to do the 2nd fret, middle string, and the high string's open. So this would be the root, the major 3rd. Now, again, this is, talk about a movable chord. This is such a versatile, movable chord. Once you move it off of this position, it's no longer the 4 chord, but when it's right here on the 5th and 2nd fret, that's the 4 chord. But listen what happens when you move it. So a very versatile chord that you can move around. 4 chord. Okay, so here's another. Remember that shape that we talked about here for the 1 chord? Right? Well, if you move this guy up here to the pinky 12, middle 10, and index 9, here is another 4 chord. And again, every one of these guys you can pull off. And again, like I said, you can invert these things upside down. And you can reposition this guy by putting this finger here, getting rid of the 3rd in the bass, or the 3rd, and replacing it with another 5. So I have 5, 5, 5 up here at the 12th fret. And this is another 4 chord. All right. So I know there's many more 4 chords. And I didn't mention this one here when it's just 1 finger on 1 string on the 5th fret. I love this 4 chord. All right, so let's move on to the 5 chord. 5 chord, 5 chord, 5 chord. All right, the 5 chord exists right here at the 7th fret. So if I was to do the 1-finger bar, it would be up here at the 7th fret. That would be the 5 chord. Now the same rules apply that we applied over here at the 4 chord. In other words, I can do 2 fingers, my middle finger and my ring finger, and let the high string remain open. That gives me a luscious sounding 5 chord. Leaves my pinky available to do that, and my index finger over here to do the 7th chord. Major chord, but we typically don't do major 7 chords when it's at the 5. When it's at the 5, we're gonna definitely go for this dominant 7 chord here. Now here's another awesome 5 chord. When you take your ring finger and middle finger and put them here at the 2nd fret, top and bottom strings, and leave the middle string open, that's another 5 chord. Another 5 chord is taking our pinky, putting it here at the 7th fret, and our index finger here, middle string, 4th fret. The high string is open. Isn't that a beautiful 5 chord? Oh my gosh. Now the harmonics that exist here at the 7th fret, if you put your finger lightly over this, right over the fret, just barely touch the strings, you get these harmonics. Those harmonics are also the 5 chord. The harmonics at the 12th fret are the 1 chord. The harmonics at the 7th fret are the 5 chord. Okay, so remember how we did this chord here? And using these fingers here? Well, if you move this all the way up here to the 14th fret, put my index finger here, or leave it open, doesn't matter because it's the 12th fret. This is also the 5 chord. Let's see here. Oh yes, that reminds me. Pinky at the 14, middle finger at the 12, index finger at the 11. All right, that's another 5 chord. And you can invert it if you like, just like the other ones. Another 5 chord. All right, so that's a whole bunch of 5 chords. There's plenty more, but that's good for now, right? All right. Now I want to show you some awesome chords. This is the nitty-gritty of this video. So basically, if you put any notes together, that's going to be a chord. You might not know the name of it. I suggest don't get caught up, don't get hung up on the names of the chords. In fact, I suggest name your own chords. Use your mind, your creativity, your ear, and come up with your own names for your own chords, right? What do I mean by that? Well, like this one here. This is a minor chord. It's whatever you're tuned here, you have root, 5, minor 3rd. So this is a minor chord. Well, I call it the sad chord. This one here is the major chord, it's the happy chord. This is the painful chord here. If I just take this note here and move it up just a little bit, bend it up just a tiny bit, it's a pain sound. If I put my index finger here at the 5th fret high string, I call this the exciting chord or the suspense chord. It wants to go down, it wants to resolve. Ever since I was a young boy, I played the silver ball. So that's the exciting chord. The next note here is going to be the confusion chord or the tension chord. This one here I call the solid chord or the home bass. So you can name your own chords, right? Name your own chords. This one here, this major 7 way up here, I call that the delightful chord or the perfume chord. If I move it down 1/2 step, that's the dominant 7 chord. That's the blues chord. Basically anything is a chord here. Here's the 6 chord. Flat 6. That's a question mark. Home bass, tension, excitement, suspense, happy, la 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 la, puppies, butterflies, sunrises, sad, No, 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 no. Dark clouds. Pain. All right, that's just the chords on one string. You can apply that technique and that theory to all the strings here. You can, and then listen and capture these in your mind. That's basically every note in the middle string all the way up to the 5th fret. And this is just one finger, guys. So let's just continue on just to hear these sounds here, right? All right, so every one of those chords has a name. Do I care about the name? If I was to communicate with somebody else, I probably would, but for me, it's more about the sound, the feeling, the vibe, the emotion of the note, of the sound, right, of the chord. Okay, so here's another awesome chord here. This is a minor chord. And you can invert it upside down or put it right side up, upside down, right side up, whatever. Check out this sound here. So remember the 4 chord that we talked about earlier? Here's the 4 chord. Here's the minor. Back to the root. So here's an awesome progression. I'm going to leave you with this progression. It's just one of many, many, many progressions, but we're going to call this the 1, 4. No, I take it back. Let's go a 1, 5, 6, 4. This is the 6th chord, the minor chord. It's a relative of the root. We're going to call this the 6th chord. So that's the 6th chord. My ring fingers at the 4th fret and my index fingers on the 2nd fret. The high string is open. And then the 4 chord. So again, root, or 1 chord, to the 5 chord, to the 6 chord, to the 4 chord. This is the way it's going to sound. Root, 5, 6, 4. Finally, you guys want to see something interesting? Check this out. Most of you dudes are all old. And you're all dudes. You're not gender neutral. That's a good thing. And 44% of you are not subscribed. Smash that like button. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next video.